At 3 p.m., a report was received by the police stating that a man entered his house to find his mother and young daughter murdered. The scene was extremely difficult to bear, and the way they were killed was particularly gruesome. For the first time, we will not display any real images of the people involved in the case. When you watch, you'll understand why. A report from 2019 from forensic experts in a town in the United States, alias Ryan, reveals that after finishing his work at 3 p.m., he went home to have lunch with his mother and daughter. When he opened the apartment door, he noticed an eerie silence with no sounds. Suddenly, he found his daughter Sophie lying on the floor, covered in blood. In his panic, he ran to search for his mother. When he entered her room, he found her lying on the bed, covered in blood. However, her condition was much worse than his daughter's. Ryan stood frozen in disbelief at what he saw. His voice rose and the neighbors gathered, shocked by the gruesome sight. The police were called and arrived swiftly, accompanied by forensic experts to investigate the crime scene. The apartment was neat with no signs of a struggle, except in the mother's bedroom, which showed clear signs of a confrontation. However, there were no signs of theft, and it was evident that the killer entered without force, indicating they knew the house well. Upon examining the crime scene, forensic experts noticed a wooden window pane lying next to Sophie's body, covered in blood. They also discovered that the mother's head was severely crushed in a strange way. A hammer was found next to her, with traces of blood on it. The forensic report was shocking. The first body, that of a woman named Linda, 65 years old, had been struck violently on the head with a hammer, causing severe head trauma and skull fractures. The second body was that of Sophie, who was also found with a head injury, but this time it appeared she was hit with a different weapon. The forensic experts deduced that the window pane was the weapon used to kill Sophie. The most shocking part of the report was the confirmation of a sexual relationship between the older woman, Linda, and the perpetrator, without signs of violence. The report also indicated that the time of death for both victims was close. Either Linda died first, followed by Sophie, or the reverse. After the forensic report was released, investigators continued to gather evidence. Linda's children were in disbelief, especially since their father had passed away a long time ago, and their mother was a quiet, private person with no known conflicts. Neighbors described her as a kind woman with no enemies. The surveillance cameras, unfortunately, did not cover all the entrances and exits properly, but after reviewing the footage, the police discovered that at 10:30 a.m., a young man in his 30s was seen walking alone in the street. They traced the cameras and found that he entered the building where the crime took place. A few hours later, at 12 p.m., he was seen leaving the building in a hurry, seemingly trying to escape. Ryan was shown a picture of the man, who was identified as Ethan. Ryan immediately recognized him as his close friend. However, he was puzzled as to why Ethan was there, knowing that Ryan was at work and no one should have been at home. Ethan, a driver by profession, was Ryan's childhood friend. Ethan had visited their home frequently, spending long periods of time there. On one occasion, when Ryan was out, Linda was home alone. Unfortunately, Linda, 65 years old, seduced Ethan into having a sexual encounter with her, and this continued for 6 months. The day of the murder, Linda requested that Ethan marry her, but he refused because of the significant age difference. Heated argument broke out between them, and when Ethan rejected her proposal, Linda began insulting him and throwing objects at him. In a fit of rage and deep frustration, Ethan grabbed the hammer and struck Linda on the head repeatedly, causing her immediate death. To his shock, Sophie, Linda's granddaughter, was present and witnessed everything. In a panic, Ethan decided to kill Sophie to prevent her from exposing him. He grabbed the window pane and struck Sophie on the head twice, killing her instantly. Once Ethan realized the gravity of his actions, he quickly locked the door and fled the scene. After the investigation, with all the evidence gathered, Ethan was sentenced to death for his heinous crimes. This story shows the tragic consequences of deceitful relationships and how they can destroy lives. We pray for the souls of the victims. Goodbye.